Have either of the assault cruisers ever put into groundbreaking?
Warning, intruders will be... Oh, it's you. We're now in orbit above Roseway, Captain. I believe I hear Felix and Parvati discussing the latest Aetherwave serial.
Initiating initialization sequences. Greetings, customer! This SAM unit is unable to locate your registered information. Would you like to register your SAM? Registering new owner. Captain. SAM units live to clean and clean to live. Battery levels are fully charged. Thank you, customer. This area is utterly filthy. All SAM units travel fully assembled in a 12x12 corrugated steel box. Did you know SAM units are capable of equipping regulation-grade flamethrower nozzles? Upgrade your attachment today and get to firing away. Got stubborn stains? Leave them for Sam.
By verity, by strength. What are we contemplating today?
I like what you've done with the place. Kitschy collectibles are such a human inclination. Destination reached. The Groundbreaker.
You weren't followed, were you? I hope not. Sure is. Welcome aboard, contractor. One of my guys in Stellar Bay has a lead on some high-grade salvage, but he went dark before he could spill the goods. We arranged a drop at the Saltuna warehouse's loading dock. Find whatever he left there and take it to Fallbrook. My gal Catherine will be expecting you. A few of my contractors run flights in there and out again, working around the board embargo. We keep the community lubricated with a steady supply of booze and unconventional erotica. Byzantium kids with more money than sense can thank Sublight for their good time. Catherine is tied up with other matters, and I don't want her bothered. I told her I'd be sending my best fixer. Try and play the part. When the board pulled out of Monarch, they buried or sealed anything they couldn't carry off-world. Apparently, one of Catherine's teams uncovered an abandoned lab with full tanks of Alta Vitae gas. It's exactly 1 million bits per cubic meter. Before you get too excited, the only thing rarer than Alta Vitae gas is a reliable buyer. Dangerous stuff. Acid for the nuclein in your cells. It's no good to anyone outside of a lab.
But it can be a lot of fun, if you don't mind the possibility of rewiring your body on an atomic level.
You and I have different notions of fun, Dr. Fenhill. Now, get going. Catherine will brief you on the details when you check in with her at Fallbrook. One last thing. When you're on the job, keep a pair of eyes in the back of your head. Understood? Don't go looking for anything, except salvage. Just watch out. You'll do fine. Probably nothing to worry about. Probably.
Good enough for me. Sublight's always got plenty of work. Good gig if you don't mind where the bits come from.
CNP Borston Baked Beans. When you need to eat lunch.
Huh? Oh, I am alert and awake. Not to worry. We are now in orbit above Stellar Bay, Captain. No blockade is a match for my piloting skills.
Hey, hold on there. I gotta sign you in. Don't think I've seen you around. That means you must be new to Stellar Bay. You are new here, right? I knew it! See, I made what you'd call a logical deduction. You must have seen those UDL gunships on your way in. There's only 3 of them these days. Still, they tend to scare folk off. Wish more folk could say that. Gets awful quiet guarding a landing pad that never gets used. You may not have heard, you being new, but Stellar Bay hardly ever gets off-world traffic, us being cut off by the board and all. Which means I never get to do this part, but I've been practicing, so here goes. On behalf of Monarch Stellar Industries, welcome to Stellar Bay, home of the freshest sal tuna and halcyon. Please state your name for the records. Swell. There's one for the logs. I'm even gonna give you your own entry code. I'm not supposed to do that. It's against procedure, but Mr. Sanjar isn't so strict about the rules here. Besides, I got a lot of empty entries to fill. We don't get ship traffic in town. Only off-worlders who do make it out here are sublight. They got a base in Fallbrook. And thank the stars for them, or we would have run out of Rizzo's Purple Berry Crunch years ago. Oh, that'll just make Mr. Sanjar's day if you tell him. The board makes up lots of nasty stories about raptidons and cannibals and whatnot. But that's all outside our walls. Mostly.
Did he just say raptidons and cannibals? I can't wait.
Oh, sure. They make Stellar Bay sound like a rotten place, but it's not so bad. Get a good breeze going, and the sulfur smell mostly covers up the fishy smell.
Ah, the nostalgic stench of home. Can't say I miss the day-to-day of living in Edgewater.
Anyway, Mr. Sanjar's got lots to say on that subject. Kinda goes over my head, though. Mr. Sanjar will be mighty pleased to meet you. If you see him over at headquarters, maybe you could tell him I did a bang-up job of welcoming you? Oh, and if you're headed that way, maybe you could do me a favor? I got this Rizzo's Rangers tossball poster coming in on the next sublight shipment, signed by the Black Hole himself. Only I haven't heard anything in a while. You think you could check with Celia to see if it's come in?
Boss, come on. Black Hole Birdie, the Holmeister, the Hack Attack.
That's Bertie Holcomb, only one of the greatest tossball hackers ever. Everyone's heard of him, even on Monarch. We still get some of the games. You been living in a sulfur pit or something? On account of him being the best hacker who ever played, nothing gets by him. He sucks up every ball that comes his way. While Holcomb's had a lot of nicknames over his career. Used to be the tallywhacker on account of what he'd do to the score. Before that, he was the slick stick, because his shots were always so smooth. I swear I'm not. At the start of his career, people called him the hack boss, but no one thought that was very catchy. I couldn't really say, I'm just a fan of the game. But the fancy collector types say the more people see these things, the less valuable they are. And I figure my poster's been passed around by more than a few people by now. Thanks a bunch! Celia works for Mr. Sanjar in the MSI building next to the bar. She's always there, so you can't miss her. What do you think you're doing?
Just don't make more paperwork for me, all right?
We don't get many outsiders.
Fresh blood at last. Stellar Bay could use some.
Watch your
What are
step
the
as you venture.
chances of
We
all
don't
the
get
times and
many
places you could have been
outsiders.
born?
Yeah.
We're here, light years from Earth, going about our lives.
Every time the punch clock peals, a worker earns his meals.
What are you talking about?
Sorry, I thought you were quoting It's a Wonderful Directorate. Got my sights.
Got any news from the rest of Halcyon?
Got any news from the rest of Halcyon?
Well, well. Isn't often we see new folk in Stellar Bay. First drink's on me, stranger. Enjoy. If you plan on sitting through Nyoka's stories, you might could use a few.
I could use a few and telling them myself.
Now what can I do for you? Anyone who spends any amount of time in this bar is bound to get to know Nyoka. on account of her being here so often herself. And I don't mean that unkindly. Anyone who's rid us of as many beasts as you have is entitled to a few drinks. Something else I can do for you? Not since Amber Heights. These days we have more leaving than coming. Off to join the Iconoclasts or some such. But it had a fancy ring to it. Name's the first advertising anyone sees, after all. Nope. But a man can dream.
And the little bastard's slippery, right? On account of its blood, so it's sliding. All over the place, trying to crawl away. Getting so I can't tell the blood from the mud. But I gotta get in there, get right in that baby rap's stomach and dig it out. If so much as a drop of stomach acid got on that medallion, shit, I don't know what I'd do. Might be I'd hunt every damn rapt out there. Right. What are you staring? Wait. You ain't from around here. Who are you? Ooh, charmer. Don't get a lot of that around here. Folks mostly grump at me about how I should join the MSI payroll. Nice change of pace. Buy me a drink, will you? Outstanding! What are you doing in Stellar Bay, stranger? Well. Let's get down to brass nuts then, shall we? Wait, that ain't it. Brass rats? Let's talk business. I'm headed back out there after I sober up. You want a guide sooner than that? You have to get me something to clear my head. Outstanding! Our dispensary here maintains a stock of, well, I don't rightly know what they are. Steroid or caffeine somethings? Pills. They're very good. I'm cut off for the month, on account of needing one just about every damn day. But I'm sure you've got your wily ways. Fetch me one and we'll be all set. Well, they work. We got a deal or what?
Well, we don't get many outsiders. You don't look like Sublight. Must be freelance.
Watch your step if you venture outside the walls.
Got any news from the rest of Halcyon?
New face, huh? You from Offworld? A ship captain? Well, I'll be. Here, let me buy you a drink. Consider it an MSI welcome. Why don't you grab a chair, sit a spell and revel with us? Me and my friends have taken our destiny into our own hands. We're untethered, free of responsibility and worldly cares. Well, as long as we don't run out of bits. But until the windfall's gone, we're riding high. See, we just walked out on our work. Had enough, we did. So now we're striking. It ain't any one thing but the sum of it all, having to work longer shifts for less bits. And the wages we do earn don't cover as much as they used to. Our supervisor, Velma, goes on and on about quarterly profits and meeting quotas. But that ain't what Sanjar promised us. Velma refuses to negotiate, so we're refusing to work. We won't go back until she agrees to pay us fair and proper. Us on Monarch, we're free from the board, you know? We have the right to lobby for better hours and pay. I wouldn't doubt it. You look like the type who tends to come out on top. Not like us cogs, trying to be the squeaky wheel but just getting deadlocked. It's been days, but Velma won't even hear us out. Maybe you could just make her listen to our demands. You would do that? We sure are lucky you decided to come up to the patio today. I knew drinking up here would be good for more than the view. Sure thing. What did you want to discuss? Not forever, but we've each saved up our bits, and I stashed them safe in my home by the diner. I reckon we could last a week or two at least. If I knew that, I'd have tried it. Talking reasonably got me nowhere. Maybe you'll fare better. The others wanted to blackmail her, but we're above that. Besides, them are just rumors. We got no proof they're true. I would never endorse such an untoward tactic, you know, but, well, there's rumors that Velma's taking a cut off the profits. So far, it's just gossip, you know, but if there was any proof to be had, it'd be in the Saltuna warehouse, I reckon.
It'll be good to get some steady pay again.
Thanks for the help. Still, this is a nice break from the warehouse.
We don't get many outsiders. You don't look. Watch your step if you venture outside the walls.
Rapmusk and Canid right here. Hello, stranger. Can I interest you in Raptidon tongue? Or maybe some Canid toenails? You look like a man who's looking for some mostly fresh animal parts? I don't know. Celia usually buys whatever I have, and Mr. Pickett seemed real interested. So I thought maybe I was onto something. She works for Sanjar at MSI. She's also Stellar Bay's biggest collector of Canid incisors. And I should know, because she buys them from me. He came to Stellar Bay years ago, just before the board cut us off. Ended up stuck here. He was always real interested in our monsters. Mantiqueens, especially. Sure, they're real big. Hard to miss them. Who wouldn't be? He kept talking about collecting a queen to take back to Terra 2. Didn't make no kind of sense to me. Mantiqueens won't let you collect them. Well, I could send you to the same place I sent Mr. Pickett. But I haven't seen him in a few weeks. To tell true, I'm starting to get a bit worried about him. Tell you what. I'll tell you where I sent Mr. Pickett if you promise to look for him. Help him out if he's got himself in trouble. Fair deal? All right then. Leave town through the southern gate, the one right here, and head past the abandoned ruins. Last Mantiqueen I saw was in the wilds out that-a-ways. Could be Mr. Pickett still out there too. Oh, good. Celia hasn't come by in a few days, so I haven't sold much.
Sir, please, I need your help. I can pay. Oh, thank you for stopping. Everyone acts like nothing's wrong, like my little boy isn't at risk of being eaten by some vile creature. Please, you have to help me get my little Tucker back. He ran away and is going to get himself killed. Oh, I just know a Raptidon is melting him with acid as we speak. Oh, I just knew you were a good person. Agnes, I said, this is the man to save your little Tucky. And I was right. He ran out into the wilderness a few days ago. I warned him about the Raptidons, Mantisaurs, and Marauders, the toxic sulfur pools and poisonous plants, but he didn't listen. Please, won't you go and find my boy? Well, I guess I can't ask you to leave the town walls for free. It is deathly dangerous out there. I've got some bits saved up for a rainy day. I'll give you every last one if you just bring my Tucker back to me. I won't even be mad at him running off. You tell him I won't be mad. He's been pining for an adventure. Says he's tired of living cooped up behind the walls. But he doesn't understand how dangerous it is out there. I warned him. A Raptidon would snap him up first chance it got. I just know one's ripped his arm off and is gnawing on his sweet little fingers. He should have listened to his mama. I promised I'd keep him safe here with me. He's been listening to those awful broadcasts that the Iconoclasts put out. I begged Sanjar to put a stop to them, but did he? No! And now I just know my boy's run off to Amber Heights. That is, if a Mantiqueen hasn't spooled out and eaten his entrails for breakfast already. That old settlement, southwest of Stellar Bay. I don't know which is worse, the thought of my son shacking up with the nutty Iconoclasts, or that he never made it. Sprats could be nesting in his rotting body alongside the road as we speak. Or maybe Marauders got him, pulled all his teeth out, crushed him into their drugs and made him snort them. Oh, the things that could happen to my sweet baby. Those low-life degenerates, leading innocent boys into a life of danger. Oh, they make it sound so exciting. Like it's noble to risk it all out there, fighting for the greater good.
Not sure I'm seeing the problem here.
You're one of them, aren't you? You should be ashamed of yourself, young man. Just as your mama would be. How noble is it to worry your loved ones? Not at all, I say. But still they preach their sermons of anarchy and rebellion to anyone who listened. If they weren't holed up in Amber Heights, I'd knock them all upside the head. Thank you. Oh, I know he'll be safe now that someone's able to fetch him home. You look for him in Amber Heights, you hear? It's down the road southwest of town. I'm sure he made it that far. I just know it. And if you find any of them iconoclasts indoctrinating my boy, you punch them in the mouths. Tell them what I think of them luring little boys away from their mamas. It's immoral.
Staying out of sight.
Got any news from the rest of Halcyon? We're not the best equipped, but scouting for rats keeps us on our toes.
Got any news from the rest of Halcyon? You don't look like Sublight. Must be freelance.
Help! Someone's been killed!
I think I'm gonna be sick. I clean the apartments while everyone's at work. I've seen all sorts of messes, but this... If you're going into the apartments, do not go into the lower one on the right. That's where the body is. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go contemplate a hot shower.
Got any news from the rest of Halcyon?
A murder? Hey, is this the part where we go hunting for clues?
What a gruesome way to die.
We don't get many outsiders. Whatever you do, don't mention Tossball to Isaac. You'll never hear the end of it.
You know, I haven't seen him in a while.
If you'd gotten stuck in an hour-long rant about mostly colonists, you'd be thankful. Hey! Staying long?
You startled me. Don't sneak up on a person like that, huh? again! You've really got to stop doing that!
Velma seem out of sorts to you?
It's always cranky. Look, I don't... Sorry. For a second, I thought you were Grim. If you want to talk to the boss, she's in the back of the warehouse.
If Velma's capable of running the warehouse, she can certainly pick up her own caffeinoid.
Don't be so hard on her. With Brax missing, she's working doubles and needs a little edge.
Very well, dearie. But you stop by any time you like, hmm?
Thanks, I'll keep that in mind. Velma's gonna be extra cranky if she doesn't get her caffeinoid. Velma's gonna be extra cranky if she doesn't get her caffeinoid.
Hello, dearie. Why, I don't believe I've seen you before. And with sweet cheeks like those, I'd remember. What can Auntie Abigail do for you? She works over at the fishery next door. Quite the hard worker, but she's got a bit of a temper. Why, just the other day, I heard her shouting from here. I can't imagine what set her off. Oh, but here I go again, running my mouth when it's none of my business. Was there something else you needed? Yes, indeed. Someone's got to keep Stellar Bay's people healthy and energized. Oh, but I am. I get to see plenty of my neighbors here, and I do dearly love a little gossip. And what a helpful young man you are. Nothing like a little pill to liven up the spirits. Who's your lucky friend, dearie? Aren't you a saucy thing? I may not be a fresh young thing anymore, but with age comes experience, dearie.
Much as I'd love to. My rheumatism is especially fierce at the moment, and I'm all out of my medicine. But I'd hate to send you away empty-handed. You were here for Caffeinoid, weren't you? Who's it for? I'm so sorry, but with the iconoclasts and the marauder filth chasing away what little trade we get, I'm afraid I have to reserve my supply for Stellar Bay residents. Our reserves have gotten so low, I've even had to start locking the supply room upstairs. Isn't it a shame what some people will do to get a little extra? Except for you. I can tell. You've got one of those faces. I'd make an exception for you if I could, my little cherub. Is there anyone else needing a special pickup from Auntie Abigail? Oh, her. It's none of my business, but I have told her Dr. Williams would bump up her monthly allotment if only she'd join MSI. Contribute like the rest of us. Now I've gone and said too much. And you know me, dearie. I don't like to pry. I'm afraid it'll be the better part of a month. Our dear Nyoka tends to exhaust her supply rather quickly. Believe me, there's nothing I'd love better than to help you, but there's not much I can do. Dr. Williams managed the town's allotments from his terminal upstairs. Even I can't access them. Oh, you flatter an old woman. Me, I'm just here to be a pretty face for the customers. And to keep an extra key to the supply room, for all the times Dr. Williams misplaced his. The one upstairs, where we store our medicines. In the town graveyard, I'm afraid. Poor man was always searching for the Flower of Enlightenment. On the way, he tried some rather daring substance combinations. It's a philosophist symbol of some kind, dearie. Never you mind. The graveyard's near the southern ruins. You're certainly welcome to pay our respects, but the bodies tend to attract beasties.
You're gonna go tussle with some raptidons? Because I've been practicing my dropkick.
Do be careful. I'd hate for anything to happen to you, dearie. Well, this certainly isn't worth my good health. I'll get you a dose, but I'll have you know, I'm very disappointed in you. There, and good riddance. That's the last help you're getting from Abigail Edwards.
Ah, the Charmer. Welcome back. Drink, chat, or business? All of the above? More or less dangerous than a steady supply of alcohol. Give it here. Whew, that hits the spot. Right in the, oh, no, there it is. There it is. Yes. We're in business. Let's go. Great. Where to? Oh, Hiram? I ain't checked in on that man in an age. He's running the giant radio tower we lovingly call Devil's Peak. We'll be going south and west, mostly along the road till we're past Fallbrook. Out there, there's a western slope that'll lead us through some fun. You like hunting, right? That's fun. If you're more of a spelunker, Rotting River will take you into the mountain caverns. We can discuss options when we get closer. That said, 3's already a crowd. I don't mind waiting somewhere until you got a spot open.
A real big game hunter. You gotta give me some pointers.
In a manner of speaking.
Stellar Bay had a vicar once. He took it upon himself to convince Graham's folk to come back to the corporate fold. Kept making the trip between the city and Amber Heights by foot. Kept getting himself into all sorts of scrapes. Day came when I found a book of his in the middle of a rapt encampment. And still gripping it, too.
The plan unfolds as the plan unfolds. To vicar and layman alike.
I wonder sometimes what they're doing on other... colonies.
Uh-huh.
Think they're watching the same series?
A vicar, huh? You a true believer, or do you just like the tithes?
Why, that's borderline offensive, Ms. Ramnareem Wentworth. Of course I believe. The tithes are merely a well-earned bonus.
I met another believer once. Pushy type. He thought he'd been left behind for a reason. Thought he'd find some kind of cosmic truth in the wilderness.
Sure it's properly logged.
Got himself infected by a mantis and drowned in a sulfur pool.
Greetings, and welcome to Monarch Stellar Industries, producers and purveyors of the finest salt tuna in Halcyon. What can I do for you today? Not at all. Mr. Nandi treats us all right and pays us well. I just spent most of my paycheck on Raptidon acid. Laws, no. Sometimes it's canid teeth, or mantis worm wings. Whatever Sebastian has in stock, really. So I can talk to him, of course. He doesn't get going about much else. Sort of the strong, silent type. Unfortunately, my apartment's kind of filling up with his stuff, and some of the neighbors are complaining about the smell. Would you? I'd appreciate that so much. Maybe don't tell him I wanted you to ask, just that you met this really nice lady named Celia, and she seemed... Oh. Mr. Nandi's doing that thing where he breathes through his nose real slowly. I'd better get back to work. He doesn't talk much, but he's got this quiet intensity, you know? Like there's stuff going on inside his head that you have no idea about. Plus, he's got great legs. It's hard to find a man who doesn't skimp on lower body exercises. Not in Stellar Bay. Everyone else who isn't taken either smells like salt tuna or they're my boss. Besides, a man with a good smile and a proportionate upper to lower body ratio isn't something to pass up. You think that's what I'm looking for? You're funny. Sorry, sometimes I get carried away. Have you talked to Sebastian yet? What did he say? You know, sending you is the first bright idea I've seen from that man, because I told him to stop bothering me about it a week ago. I still don't know anything about it, but if you want to help him, Velma's the one to ask. She's in the warehouse. But I'll warn you, Grim wore her patience thin a long time ago. Oh, have you talked to him?
Well, new business turns up at last. Celia, didn't I tell you our new statistics-based advertising model would be a hit?
That you did, sir.
How can yield improvements of 26.7% not quicken the pulse? How can 32% cost savings not moisten the loins?
You've often posed these very questions.
Clear my schedule. This newcomer has a meeting with me. Celia, will you make a note of that for my self-review? Very generous.
Noted.
But not so generous I can't drive a good bargain. Now, who sent you? Rizzo's, perhaps? Or Auntie Cleo herself? What a charming notion. One doesn't meet many free spirits in Halcyon. Not outside Tartarus prison, anyway. Forgive me, I'd be positively enraptured. Only, I take it this means you aren't here for salt tuna. Now, there's no need to humor me. I'm used to this particular letdown. I had hoped that livening up our advertisements with enticing figures would draw the other corporations back to our bosom, but it seems we're back to the drawing board. Thanks to the so-called hazard clause, Monarch has been cut off from the board's resources and protection for 10 years now.
So-called is right. We've got our hazards, but we're still here, damn it. The board took off without so much as a thought for the folks left behind.
Something to be said for perseverance. I endeavor to persevere myself.
Now, we've kept ourselves in business by trading with individual corporations, but given the off-the-books nature of those transactions, such arrangements are precarious.
You talk like Graham.
Freedom always sounds nice, doesn't it? It makes a rather pretty slogan. But if you sit down and tally up the costs, how you provide for yourself in the absence of aid, how you protect yourself from a hostile galaxy, it starts to lose its shine.
Exactly. Intellectualism fuels the train to mankind's future, but the tracks the train runs on are forged from practicality.
I don't know what intellectualism means, but if someone's willing to build us a few practical things around here, I ain't gonna judge them on account of their beliefs.
Yes, it's as though the good vicar has plucked the very words from my brain.
Indeed. Mr. Nandi here has a rather ingenious plan to get MSI restored to the board.
On our terms, mind you.
A lot of good that'll do. They'll just find another reason to turn tail and abandon you.
Not if we secure the proper safeguards first.
And if our advertising scheme hasn't borne fruit, then perhaps it's time we took matters into our own hands.
It's true, our Celia is an alarmingly competent middle manager. At any other company, she'd be wasted in data entry. The plan she refers to is a two-pronged approach, and the first part involves seeing Stellar Bay properly defended. With a Bolt 52 cartridge, of course. If you can get us what we need to rejoin the board, starting the Bolt 52, we'll be able to become one of the most productive and secure cities in Halcyon.
And you'll have a powerful ally on the board.
Why, one of the strongest defenses in Halcyon. An extremely powerful ordnance. I'll need to gather some supplemental materials, but I mustn't get ahead of myself.
You do tend to do that.
The Bolt 52 will be in the old arms building southwest of town, which used to be part of Stellar Bay before we had to move our walls in. And these days, it's overrun with marauders and raptidons. Do be careful. I've lost more than a few people to marauders and raptidons out there. Oh, and while you're at it, there should be a terminal in the arms building with some dangerous information. Perhaps you could delete it so it doesn't fall into the wrong hands. What can I do for you? Hiram? Why, he's probably still out at Devil's Peak. Not that he's had the courtesy to notify me, at any rate. You'd head south along the road and look for a mountain to the west. Not that I'd advise it. It's a terribly dangerous trek. But I see you've met Nyoka. Anyone can get you there safely, it's her.
He just wants me out of his bar.
Then it's good that I keep such meticulous notes. I've asked myself the same thing many times, especially seeing as the legal mechanisms we employed were part of the board's own bylaws. Not intentionally, though that's technically true. For many years, this planet was home to as many corporations as Terra 2, but back then it was known as Terra 1. As you may have noticed, this planet has more than its share of hazards.
That ain't fair. They didn't leave on account of the hazards. They left on account of their cowardice. The hazards just gave them a reason to put to paper.
Sharp as ever, Nyoka. And as the other corporations began to tally their losses, they decided to pull out. MSI's leadership at the time certainly thought so.
And how did that work out?
Most regard Monarch as a lost cause. But there were others of us who saw an opportunity. The chance to improve working hours and conditions, to reform MSI from the ground up. It's humane, but it's also good business sense. Exhausted, sick, and malnourished workers are not productive workers. Even a cursory review of the data bears that out. Anyway, we learned of a loophole in the corporate bylaws that would allow MSI to claim ownership of the entire planet once the other corporations pulled out, creating the perfect environment for us to enact these new reforms. Oh, well, there were surely other junior executives with more open minds, though none of them had the temperament to handle the paperwork. But I was keeping my tone flat and maintaining eye contact. You weren't supposed to notice I was avoiding the subject.
This is why you've never been good with presentations, sir.
Very well. Many, many years ago, Graham Bryant and I used to be collaborators, of sorts. Indeed, for all the good it did. MSI's then leadership wasn't enthusiastic. They insisted we'd be relocating to Terra 2, along with everyone else. Yes, some of us stayed behind, and as the most senior executive remaining, I ended up in charge of what was left of MSI. I moved forward with our planned reforms, as well as our strategy to assume ownership of the planet. Yet not long after I renamed it Monarch, the other corporations dislodged us from the board and began an official campaign to paint us as lawless savages. I don't know. Everything we did was legal and above board. We followed their rules, and yet they still found reasons to declare us outlaws. I do think there's something useful in a governing body like the board. Something that keeps us from anarchy, but I dearly wish it functioned differently. Why wouldn't anyone? They own nearly all the resources and infrastructure in Halcyon.
Without the board, chaos would overtake the system. Working within the established order isn't a principle to snub one's nose at, Captain.
Yeah, that'd go a long way toward rebuilding our homes.
To be on the board is to be part of the colonial community, and being cut off means slow strangulation. Indeed, we've got to consider realities, not ideals. If membership on the board can ease our hardships and provide us with opportunities, then that's the path I mean to pursue. Besides, I'm hopeful that additional leverage on our part will allow us a more equitable relationship.
Don't get ahead of yourself, sir.
Yes, it'll be easier to explain once we have the Bolt 52. My hope is to maintain the reforms we've managed here, and who knows? Perhaps once we're restored, we could spread them to other corporations.
It's straight bullshit is what it is. A fabrication rich folks use to preserve their investments by leaving a lot of people here to die slow.
Nyoka has the right of it. It's a legal provision that gives the board the authority to cordon off any planet or location that it deems dangerous.
A necessary evil for the greater good of society.
That's exactly how the board describes it. Yes, making all of MSI criminals in the board's eyes. Rather hard to run a business that way. As far as I'm concerned, the less said about Graham, the better. Graham seemed like a reasonable man years ago, and we both agreed that MSI's treatment of its workers was untenable. I thought reforms would be enough. I didn't realize you wanted to abolish the corporate system entirely. Why wouldn't anyone? They own... To be on the board is to be... I'm not a man to put pride before progress. If membership on the board can ease our hardships and provide us with opportunities, besides, I'm hopeful. I've discovered it's much easier to negotiate from a position of power. And I don't mean to leave MSI or its people at my... What can I do for you? I see. And was his delivery of the MSI authorized greeting up to snuff? Well, that's excellent. I'll see that your feedback makes it into his review. What else can I do for you?